Okay, we're going to take a look at division of a line segment into equal segments without measuring it. Now, this is two constructions in one. It's construction 6 and construction 7. The only difference is at ordinary level, they only ask you to cut it into 2 or 3 parts. At higher level, they ask you to cut it into many more. It's the same thing, so just read the question and don't worry too much about it. I will do an example of 3 and an example of 5, just so you can see the similarities and the differences. So first off, you get given a line AB or whatever the line is, and you're just going to draw a line at an angle to it going through A. So just make sure it goes through A, and it can be any angle, so just freehand pick your angle, and I'm going to say that's it there. Now, if I'm cutting this into 3 parts, I'm just going to make my arc whatever size you like, but just make sure it doesn't go beyond roughly 3 of the cuts. So I'm going to say, there you go, it's 3. So I draw an arc and I go like that. Now, without changing the size, very important, I place it at where I just created that arc, and I draw another one through the lines that we've created. And I do it again, place it at this point, and I draw a third arc. And since I'm trying to cut it into 3 segments, I'm going to stop here. And I'm going to label this point where they meet. Actually, I'll do it in pencil. Always do your stuff in pencil so you can rub it out. I'm going to label this the point C. Okay. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to measure from C to B with my compass. So I need to place it at C and stretch it out to B. So just double check that it is the length from C to B. And now we're going to move it down to A, and we're going to draw an arc beneath. And feel free to make this as big as you like. You'll see why in a moment. But I've drawn an arc, C to B, same as over here, same size. Next thing I'm going to do then is I'm going to pause. Continue. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go from A to C. I'm going to open up my compass, the full length of A to C. So you're going to need to stretch your compass here. Make sure you haven't gone too big. Mine is just perfect. So I've got it there, the length A to C. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to place that now at B, going through this arc we just created. So this length here, B to this arc, should be the same as the length of C to A or A to C. And now that we have that point that they're going to go through, I'm going to connect up with a ruler from B to that point. So from B to that point, and I draw a straight line. Okay, and the last step, or second last step we're on now, we're going to place our sharp point at A and just get that size of that arc, the first arc you did again. Okay, so that arc there, make sure it's that size, and now place it at B and do those 3 arcs. So you're going to do an arc here, shift up to here, a second arc. Just make sure you're on the point where you should be. This is where you get a bit finicky, and a good sharp compass will help with this. And then place the third one down, and hey presto, it should go through, if you've done it correctly, the same point that you already have. Now you can see we've got to cut 3 parts up here, 3 parts down here. Now, the very last stage of this. You've done all the legwork, you've done all the hard stuff, now you just have to connect the dots. So what we're going to do is we're going to connect C to B. Okay, so you'll see this connect up here. And you can do this C to B, make sure they go through both. So a bit better than I did there. C to B, and again, you're going to then move to the next one. And where this arc meets and this arc meets, you're going to connect these up. So make sure you just go through the center of them. And do the same here again. And finally, you can connect this one up, although it's not really as relevant. Okay. But what you'll notice is you have cut this line segment into 3 equal pieces. Now you might be saying, what the hell do you mean? Well, let's just take a look with a ruler. So From A to this first part here, I get it to be on my one just shy of 50 millimeters. If I shift it down, again, it's just shy of 50 millimeters, like 4.8 or 4.9, and again, just shy of 50 millimeters, about 4.8. So we have cut this into 3 parts. Okay, as you can see, that is quite a few steps. This is not a straightforward one. It's one of the more challenging ones. But once you've done it 3 or 4 times, it just kind of commits to memory. So my advice is to literally draw a line, A, B, or whatever line, and try repeat these steps. Do it a couple of times till it's kind of ingrained in your memory. Now, I'll do an example with 5. So cutting it into 5 just to see the differences and the similarities. So first thing you're going to do is again draw at an angle, just another line. I'm going to give myself a little bit more length this time just in case I need it. Make sure it goes through C like that. Okay, mine's not super neat, but it's going to be fine. Now, we're going to, along this line, make smaller arcs this time because I'm trying to fit 5 in. So I'm going to make smaller arcs starting at C. And again, same as before, I keep these the exact same size. 2, 3, 4, 5. So this point that I go through now, I'll call this X, right? I'm going to do X to D, so same as before. Measure the size of X to D with your compass, so place it in place. Get that size, perfect, like I've done there. Now drop this down to C and draw yourself an arc. Now that you have that, measure X to C with your compass, so just stretch it out till you get to the size required. Obviously it can help having a bigger or smaller compass, and be careful of the size of your pencil and all that jazz. Never thought you'd be spending your life doing this. X and C, and mine just reaches. Oof, okay, so X and C has it where I want it to be. There we go. Okay, so I have it now the length. I'm going to place it at D. And I'm going to draw an arc, a small little arc through there, just where they meet. So that's length there. I'll call this P. Again, you don't have to call them anything, just handy sometimes. So P to D should be the same as C to X. And then I'm going to connect up P to D. So P to D, connecting it up with a ruler. Awesome. And the final thing I want to do is go back to these original arcs that I'd made. So minimize my compass again. Get back to the original arc I'd made. Okay, that looks about right. Place it at D and draw my 5 arcs. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 should go through it, which it looks like it does. Oh, wow, you should be exhausted at this point. Last thing you're going to do is you're going to connect up X and D. X and D with a ruler, and then shift down, connect the next 2 intersections. So this guy and this guy. You can name them all if you want. I just think that's a lot of work. Connect these 2 guys. Remember as well, don't rub anything out. Let the examiner see all of this. The examiner wants to see your construction lines. So don't feel like, I've done all the hard work, now I should rub it out. No, absolutely not. Cool, and we've cut this into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 equal segments. So this guy, these 3 pieces, this remember means the same length. When you have that in a line, they should all be the same length, or there's 5 pieces. So I'm saying it's about 3 centimeters, 3 centimeters, 3 centimeters, a little bit less, 3 centimeters, and a little bit less, 3 centimeters. Now, you're always going to get this off ever so slightly. It's not going to be perfect, okay, unless you spend ages doing it. What I would say, though, is this is more than acceptable to an examiner. As long as they can clearly see what construction lines you've done, then you're in the right place. So this covers you for 2 constructions, construction 6 and construction 7. Best of luck.